everybody. Welcome into the podcast. PartsCounterGuru.com. That's Keith. I'm Jay. How you doing, man? Good, man.
Pretty fantastic.
You keep sizing up, man. That's good.
Yeah, I've been working out.
Mandelbaum.
Yep.
There you go. Here, let's arm wrestle. You want to arm wrestle?
How's that going to work?
I don't know. We'll figure it out, man. Virtual arm wrestling. There's got to be a way to do it, right?
Indeed.
Technology, brother. So what's going on? How you been?
Great. By the way, just for everybody, before we get rolling on this podcast, I got my phone. This is a no-no on the air. You know, anybody that's ever been in the studio, you don't bring these into a recorded session for obvious reasons. These, for those of you that aren't watching, I'm holding my cell phone up. But I'm waiting on a call from the dealership. So if that happens,
I'm excited. I can't wait, man.
Yeah.
So this will be, this will actually be a first for us to get a phone call on air like that.
Yeah.
It'd be good. See, and speaking of that, man, I hope that our good friend Ken listens to these podcasts. He says he does. He tends to like pictures and stuff and posts that we make out there. But Ken's an old friend of both of ours. Go way back, and he's a master tech. And we're going to start trying to get this guy on here, man. You know, and get some questions answered. We talked about that the other day. We'd like to have a segment featured to where you guys can get your questions answered. But you know, first thing you got to do is subscribe to our podcast, man.
So let's talk about that for a second. If you have a question, we would prefer automotive questions, but if it's entertaining, it doesn't necessarily have to be automotive.
No.
Send us here's how you send us your question. Go to our website at partscounterguru.com, and there is an Ask Us a Question tab near the top. Click on that, and you submit your question. We will answer we'll try to get to at least one question, maybe a couple questions every time we record a podcast. So we'll answer your question on the air. You must be a subscriber on our YouTube channel to get your question fielded by the Parts Counter Gurus. So go on over to YouTube, find us at our channel name is Parts Counter Gurus?
It's Parts Counter Gurus. Yeah, that's it.
Hit subscribe. And then you're welcome to send us your question, and we'll pick a couple, try to put them on the air every week, every podcast.
Absolutely. And there's another way to get to us, just in case you have a little trouble going directly to or trying to find us, which I don't think you will, because we're readily available out there. If you type in Parts Counter Gurus, separation there with the words too will help you. But you can go to our website, which is partscountergurus.com or guru.com. Either one will work. And if you look at the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a YouTube icon. You can click on that. It'll take you right over. You can subscribe. Remember, everybody, subscription to you is free, but your subscription to us is priceless. So please subscribe.
Like that.
We need them. We need them. So, and topics of the day, we have a lot of them. We're actually not going to really get into a deep, detailed conversation about any one specific thing, but I will guarantee you that some of the things we start talking about may be a catalyst for a longer conversation.
Might get fired up.
Might get fired up, man. Tell you what. Just like on Sundays.
Yeah, well, we just figured there was a lot going on, and we got to take some time to talk about some of this. Some of this is pretty interesting. Yeah, it's
actually, I mean, there's a tremendous amount of stuff going on in the world today, just in our sector alone.
This is one of the reasons how this podcast got started, ladies and gentlemen, was Jay and I would have these phone calls, and I'd go, we need to be recording this. And that happened for, I don't know, like 5 years?
Exactly, yeah.
And then finally I went, no, we're recording this. And,
let's just do this.
Yeah, so if you want to help us continue to record this, a couple things you can do. Jay already mentioned one of them, which is subscribing on our YouTube channel. And then the other thing you can do is go to our website, or while you're there, in the top right corner, there's an Amazon banner. And if you click on that before you make your purchases on Amazon, we will get some credit for that. It doesn't cost you any more. Doesn't show us what you buy or who you... It's anonymous, I guess is the easy way to say that. But we get a little love from Amazon, and that helps us with production costs. So
that's right.
Thanks. And to those of you that have subscribed, thank you for... thanks for doing that.
Yeah, and some other things that Keith and I have been talking about in regards to some things we'd like to do for our fans. But you got to be to be able to appreciate and benefit from it. You do need to subscribe and become a fan.
Hey, I got an idea. So
what's that?
Cortana, stop listening.
What is she doing?
Hey, man, if I'm not here tomorrow, it's because technology just took over and killed me. I don't know, man. It just started going crazy. Got my laptop open over here for some news stories, and So, nice hat. Okay, so I was going to say, you want to tease this, and then we'll come back to this a little bit later in the show and talk to everybody about what we've got coming up and what we're going to be doing. How's that?
Yeah, that sounds great, man. I think it's a good idea. So just want to keep our friends and fans aware and kind of in touch with what we're trying to do for you guys. So,
all right. So do you want to get into some current events and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it. Live from PartsCounterGuru.com. Stuff.
All right, so you wanna jump into the pool first?
I can.
You want me to jump into the pool? Or are you just gonna push me in?
No, I can do it. I'm in there.
Are you saying you're gonna do it and then you're gonna walk behind me and shove me in though? I mean, is that
nope?
Okay.
I got it. I got one up and running. And for those of you loyal MacBook Pro fans, apparently FAA has. Just yesterday, banned some recalled MacBook Pro models from flying, citing a fire risk. This is an article that was given to us by Gizmodo. And the Federal Aviation Administration has banned select MacBook Pro units from flying in the air after Apple issued a warning that some contain batteries that pose a fire risk. That's what Bloomberg reported on Tuesday. So the ban applies to some 15-inch MacBook Pros with Retina displays sold between September 2015 and February 2017. These were subject to a June 2019 Apple recall warning of a fire safety risk if the laptop continued to be used without receiving replacement batteries.
All right, so I have...
Once you talk to that, you know a lot about the
first
reason.
let's land the plane.
Yeah.
Because, we can't be having explosive... okay.
See tray tables in their upright position. See, Chad?
All right.
Okay.
So, okay, well, first of all, this is really bad press for Apple. Like, the more that this gets out, the worse... the bigger hit they're going to take in their shares and, public opinion and all that. But... And I almost started this off with, I mean no disrespect to the TSA folks out there, but to any of us that have gone through those security, I don't care if I offend you. Because I want my life
they
back.
offend me.
Well, how are they going to know? How are they going to be able to tell the difference between a MacBook or a MacBook Pro that has had the battery replaced and one that hasn't? And if they're flagging certain models, Apple doesn't stamp microscopically on the back. Sometimes they are on the underside. Then how are they going to know the battery? And all you got to do is say, well, I've had it replaced.
They won't. I mean, they will have no clue.
How's that going to be enforceable?
Right. You would have to, you can't ban, you just have to say across the board, no MacBook Pros until Apple gets this thing fixed.
And then...
then you're opening up a can of worms. That's
right.
The only thing. See, and I that was one of the first things when I was reading this. I'm like, how in the world? I mean, they can barely catch a pair of shoes on sometimes when people get through. I mean, and you can't shuffle the people through fast enough anymore. And to stop and try to identify whether a MacBook Pro is a 15-inch
Yeah.
or a 13-inch, and and then look at the serial number. Let's face it, Keith. I mean, you and I both know this. We go through this. You have to take the serial number and run the number to find out what you actually have.
That's a 3 to 5 minute process at best for each and every laptop that they scan that's an Apple laptop.
That's exactly right.
There is no way that's going to...
Yeah.
Hang on.
Oh, okay.
I feel a good one coming. Hang on. There is no way that is going to fly at the checkpoints.
Ooh.
It's just
there,
not,
people?
man. You're going to add an extra couple minutes to each person that goes through the X-ray conveyor belt thing.
Yeah, it's already aggravating enough as it is. But yeah, I mean, they just that's a can of worms for the FAA as well as Apple, man. Think about it. I mean, what's the solution to something like that?
Yeah,
Just ban them all?
I don't know. Or you just don't allow them to go in the cabin, but they can go in, because a lot of that stuff that's considered volatile, they make you put it in the cargo bay.
Right. Yeah, but what happens if it goes off in the cargo bay?
Well, I mean, in theory, there's fire prevention systems and all that, and
I guess. But if it's an explosion, which could happen, it could burn, blow a hole in the side of the fuselage, and that's a big problem. So, I mean, I don't know, man. It scares me when they stuff stuff down into the hull of the, in the body of the plane underneath and stuff. It just scares the heck out of me, dude.
And the argument is going to be, I got to get work done, and if I can't get work done on your airlines, which a lot of people use to travel for work, then they're just not going to fly, right? So it's not only not good for Apple, with Apple having such a large market share in the laptop world nowadays, it's not good for the airlines because they're going to lose travelers. They're going to lose business.
Yeah. Well, I'm sad for Apple, man, in a lot of ways, because I mean, you know me, I'm an Apple fan, and I have been since the day that you introduced me to them, really.
And I have been saying of late.
Yes. Yep.
They've lost. Yep. They've taken their eye off the ball. I mean, look, there's some things that, like, if this new Mac Pro is half of what it's cracked up to be, that'll be amazing.
Yeah.
But
I know it, man. It's just it really, I don't know, for lack of better terms, it sucks for those guys. But hopefully they'll get it figured out. Would you take a second here, though, while we're talking about this, and for any of you folks out there that have a MacBook Pro that is within that criteria, Keith, where on that it's on the back of the laptop?
So the easiest here, so let's do this. I will put in our mentioned on the podcast page on our website at partscounterguru.com, I will put under today's episode, this is going to be episode number 29, is that right?
29, yep.
I'll put a link to the Apple recall where you can go and put in your serial number and look it up. To get to your serial number, the easiest way, if you're talking about on a modern Apple laptop, is to go to the Apple menu when the computer is on, like go up to the top left corner and click on the little Apple icon. And what does it say, Jay? You're on a Mac. Well, actually, I'm on a Mac right now, too.
It says about this Mac, and you can look at storage space, what it came with, what year.
Yep. And then if you click on, so you go to About This Mac, and then you click on System Report. Oh, actually, the serial number is right there at the bottom in the overview. But if you click on System Report, it'll give you a lot more detail. So
like what type of solid state drive?
How many flux capacitors you got in there? All that, right? So
exactly.
So Apple menu, top left corner, About This Mac, and then down near the bottom of that window, you should see the serial number, and you'll take that serial number, put it into Apple's website. We'll put a link to that on our mentioned on the podcast page. Simple enough, right? Right, Jay?
Yep. It's very simple. Once you do it the first time, you'll never forget. And I do hear tell, now this might be just an old folklore, but Steve Jobs may have left something inside some of those Macs before he passed away.
Yeah.
You never know. Maybe
like his ashes.
Maybe a toy ring or something like that. Yeah, his ashes maybe. So
right.
anyway. So what you got, man?
Hey, you remember the Alamo?
I do remember the Alamo. So does Ozzy Osbourne. Ask Ozzy about the Alamo. He'll tell you about it.
All right, so this is coming from the AP Newswire, but the article, and there's not much more to this right now than what's on the article headline, but it's pretty cool.
Yep.
Alamo, they're doing a archaeological dig at the Alamo right now, and for those of you that don't know where that is, it's in Texas. Shame on you.
Yep.
Alamo dig uncovers musket balls believed from the 1800s.
That's right.
So did you know about this?
I didn't until you added the story to our shared file.
All right, so
And
it's
I
in
did
San
read it, yes.
Antonio. They're digging up 4 pits to sell. Crews are digging 4 pits to help expose the 1700s limestone wall to its foundation in an effort to fight moisture. So, and usually this kind of stuff, when a national historic landmark like that, you don't just get a shovel out and go to town, right? Like, there's got to
That's
be a preservation effort, and that looks to be what this is. So, archaeologist Christy Nichols says workers have so far recovered musket balls, a mid-1800s bottle, and 10 glazed majolica? I don't even know what that is.
Majolica.
Majolica from the Spanish colonial
Yep.
period. So that's pretty
Majolica.
cool, man. Let's see. So search Google for Majolica. Majolica, also called Majolica, is an Italian tin glazed pottery dating from the Renaissance period. It is decorated in colors on a white background, sometimes depicting historical and mythical scenes. These works, known as Istoratio wares, which means painted with stories. Okay. I'm
Right.
sure I said half of that wrong.
No, you did great, man.
I welcome your complaints at partscounterguru.com. Ask us a question.
or give us some referrals on how to pronounce
Yeah, right,
foreign
right.
foreign language, or at least.
I live on a Civil War battlefield, and
Yep.
they've got musket balls like crazy from that time period, which is the 1860s, to be fair. It's not quite as old as this.
Well, I grew up in the Southeast where major battles were fought. Sherman marched through
Yeah.
and burned several buildings in those areas. And as a kid growing up, my first cousin and I, who was also the best man in my wedding, we, as kids, we metal detected all of the time. And we have found Confederate soldier buttons, from uniforms, medals, musket balls in trees, on the ground, everywhere.
Hey.
It's just pretty cool. Yeah.
Pardon me 1 second.
Oh.
Oh, they're gone. I was going to put them on the air. Looks like it was just a package delivery or something. Anyway.
Oh, okay. So it
yeah.
wasn't your-
So Southeast. Sorry. So
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, but as a kid growing up, I've always been a fan of the archaeological digs. Trying to find, stuff like that, and it's full of the history. I mean,
Yeah.
Where I'm from is one of the original 13 colonies, and so there's an extremely, even outside of the Civil War, there's a lot of Spanish stuff that's underground. So this is pretty cool because I've been to the Alamo. The last time I was in the Alamo, man, was in 1984, I think it was.
yeah.
And I was actually on Base Liberty from basic training. So that was before I shipped off to my tech school in my service years. So anyway, that's a neat place if you haven't ever been.
It is pretty
So-
cool. You need to either, well, first of all, don't go this time of year because it's like literally hot as an oven. And but if you go, you need to do some research either before you visit or after, because the story surrounding the Alamo and the battle is just as fascinating as the actual structure itself. So
Yes,
just familiarize
absolutely.
yourself, if you don't know the story, with the story. And there's some famous historical figures whose names are closely tied to that. It's a really interesting turning point in this nation's history here in the United States. So yeah.
Pretty cool stuff, man. That's a good one. glad you ran across that, because it's always neat to find stuff, man. One of the oldest archaeological digs that I was ever around. I say oldest digs, but it's a more recent find, but it's pretty old stuff. I was on business travels to China several years ago, and was in Xi'an, which is home of the terracotta soldiers. And I visited that dig, and if anybody listening has the opportunity to get over there and see that, it is absolutely amazing. And I was very fortunate. The day that I was there, I met the guy who found the first piece. It was in a little village, and they were just digging for a well, and they found this pottery and then other pieces, and they called the government, and the government came in, and the rest is history. So, but it's a big tourist attraction, and they're still finding those things all over the place. So,
I was in the Badlands this summer, right before we got together for episode 25, and
right.
A little girl, just like we were, they were just there camping at the national park, found some dinosaur bones.
Ooh.
Had just been unearthed, and she stumbled across them. I guess they were out hiking, and so they have I'm not going to use the right term here, but they have archaeological, an active recovery facility there where you can go in and you can watch them like brush. They clean off the bones and they try to reassemble the skeletal layout of whatever it was, and you can watch them doing that, and you can walk up and ask them questions about it. And hang on.
Oh.
Yep.
Your tea. Oh, here we go. Okay,
Here we
everybody.
go. All right.
Here it goes.
Hello, this is Keith. Hey, Tommy. Thanks for calling me back.
Yeah, you're good. We'll just have to get you scheduled in, and that way the technicians can look at it and determine what needs to be done.
Okay. Are you familiar at all with what I mentioned on the voicemail about the coating coming off, and there's a technical service bulletin on that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just making sure it's not like the first time anybody's ever heard of that. It's legitimate.
No. Yeah, we've seen a couple of them on different ISs and stuff, so they just have to look at it and submit it to Lexus.
Okay. Can you transfer me over to scheduling? If not, I can just hang up and call back.
No, I can get you transferred over.
Okay. Thanks, Tommy.
Yes, sir. Just a second.
This is on your Lexus?
Yeah. All right. I'll do it later. So let's
talk about what's the reason for
he didn't talk very loud, but
I could hear him pretty good.
that was the service advisor. Sorry. At the local Lexus dealer. We've got a 2017 RX 350, and they have these infotainment systems with the big screens on them now. All cars have these things, right? And so I'm in it the other day, and my wife's like, I said, "What's on the screen?" And she goes, I was at the car wash place where you clean your car out, and they give you these kind of rags and chemicals, and I was wiping the screen off, and there's like spots all over it now that won't come off. So I kind of started messing with it, and the more I kind of got like a microfiber on there and I started rubbing on it, it's like there was like a grease coating or something, and it just started kind of rubbing off.
So it's peeling on you, huh?
Well, it won't peel, and we both sat there trying to like find an edge, and I thought maybe it's a protective film. It's a chemical that has bonded to the screen, almost like a grease.
Yeah.
And so I get on the Lexus forums, and apparently there's as you heard, there's a well-known TSB, a technical service bulletin out there for this problem and this guy just confirmed it on many of their vehicles, not just the RX, where Lexus or Toyota has put an anti-glare coating on the screen.
And this is on the infotainment system, you said, right?
And if you put anything other than water on it, like I think she probably had like electronics cleaner or something, like you would use on your iPad, it started taking the coating off.
Huh.
So
don't they use the same glass though?
It's got a coat. Yes, but think about this: if you put your iPad on your dash, there's going to be a massive glare, right? So they're putting a coating on it to prevent that, because it sits right up under the front windshield.
Yep.
But that coating was not durable enough, so they've issued and it's hopefully going to be covered under warranty. The car's still under warranty, but he was like, yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah,
With these guys, I just kind of wanted to make sure before I just went there.
Yeah. TSBs. Speaking of TSBs, man, if you guys are having issues out there and, if we can be of assistance, see if there's a tech bulletin on something, we'll be glad to give you a hand on that. We may not, know the answer right away, but we'll certainly go dig for you, help you out. So
and the process that I used with this, and they probably didn't like it, but that's okay. I don't care. And I would recommend this to anybody, including everybody that's listening to the show, which is, I asked to speak to a service advisor first. I didn't just call and schedule an appointment, because here's what's going to happen if you call and schedule an appointment. They're going to roll that thing in the shop, and they're going to bill you for it, and they may not even be aware that there's a TSB.
Right.
I did my homework first. I basically set the precedent that, okay, I'm aware of the problem. Now you guys know that I know, so you better do your, due diligence and look it up. And then we'll take it from there. And look, if it's not covered under warranty, that's fine, but you just need to be upfront with me on that. I'm not just going to hand you the keys and go fix it.
Right.
And some of that's based on previous experience. So you're almost guiding them to where, telling them where to look before the whole process starts, right?
Yeah, and you know what? For those of you who are listening to this, we do our homework on most, if not all, the things that we discuss on our podcast. And this is a great piece of advice that Keith just mentioned, is to check it out. There are available to you sites and sources that you can find out whether or not there's a tech bulletin.
Yeah.
And you can do that on your own. You can join those clubs.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we've got a link to one on our website, and it's AllData.
Right.
Just go to alldata.com, and they've got some paid services, but they also have some free services. But you can always email them. If you if you don't want to become a member, email those guys.
And a lot of times, if you go on your particular forum, like if in this case it was a Lexus forum, there's somebody on that forum that's a mechanic, and if you're nice to them, may look it up for you. Make friends with those people. That's usually what those forums are for, right? So
that's right.
Just go look. Good old Google search for Toyota 4Runner forum or whatever you're driving. Ford Truck Enthusiast has a big forum, right? I'm sure Dodge does too. I mean, they all do, right? I know Mini Cooper does. I've been all over it.
Yeah.
BMW does. They're all, yeah.
They are out there, yeah. So
what else you want to what else you want to dig at?
Well, I saw this.
Did you catch that? See what I did there?
Dig. Nice. Man, you're full of puns today, aren't you? I love it, man. And they are intended, by the way. So here's the deal. We've been talking about Tesla now for a year. I mean, and again, it's not like we're like pro Tesla or fans of it. We just realized the cutting edge technology, and
they're pushing the envelope.
They are pushing the envelope, and everybody else is following those guys. And until that changes, this is we're going to continue to talk about some of the latest stuff out. But this doesn't really have much to do with the technology as it does availability. And I found that the Tesla Model 3 is now in Australia. It just landed there for sale in Australia. Let's see, the wait is finally over for long-suffering Tesla fans who put down a $1,500 deposit on the more affordable electric car more than 3 years ago. That was what I found interesting, is wonder why it took them so long to get in there, and we'll talk about that. But more than 3 years ago, Australian customers lined up like Apple iPhone style in order to put a $1,500 deposit on the affordable Tesla. The Model 3 is now on sale locally.
So what's about to happen, right?
What's that?
You're about to get a bunch of YouTube videos with, right, let's go look at this Tesla Model 3 in the wild and see what she's full of.
Crikeys. Look at it move on its own.
I couldn't help myself there. Yeah.
No, that's good. But Tesla founder Elon Musk says the Model 3 is really important for the future of the world. Not one for an understatement, but he also claims the car is the safest on the road with peerless technology and better performance than driving
Well, of
benchmarks
course he
such
does.
as BMW's and M3 Sport sedan. So right now, just to kind of give you perspective, I think the U.S. dollar is, let's see, the United States dollar, wow, okay, the Australian dollar equals 67 cents
Of our
in
U.S. dollar.
of our U.S. dollar. So to get that's just to
Okay.
give you perspective on
Yep.
on the cost of this thing over there.
Wow,
The Model
that's
3. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, that's
the
that's
Model
moving
3
into
over
like
there.
that's
Yeah,
moving
you're
into
into
luxury car money for
Yeah,
them.
that's a 52,000 Australian dollars,
yeah.
which I think equates to somewhere around the $36,000 range for in U.S. dollars.
Starting price. Base
Starting
price.
at the Tesla Model, they're actually now that was what it initially came in at, and now because of the weight, it's driven the price up to the Tesla Model 3 range starts at 66,000
Yeah.
Australian dollars.
Yeah.
For a rear-wheel drive standard range sedan, and they claim about 460 kilometers of driving with
That's
that, which
250.
that's
Yeah.
that's the normal range.
230.
And it
230 to
has
250.
and it has the ability to hit 100 kilometers in 5.6 seconds, fast enough to keep up with the Subaru WRX. Now, you can spend $85,000 on, and that's Australian dollars on the long range model, and those figures shift as far as the speed on that thing. You get a better 0 to 60. I think it's like 4.6 seconds when you get into that one. So.
I'll tell you, after driving the dual motor, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, if you want the long range, you got to do dual motor. And the guy that I rented it from told me, he was like, I didn't really care for the dual motor, but I wanted more range out of it, and so I basically had to get the dual motor to get the range. I'm not positive on that, but I will tell you, after my experience, I would never look at, if you're going to spend the money, get that one. Get the one that's got the long range dual motors.
Oh, for sure.
It's not even close. I mean, you're really cheating yourself on the Tesla experience to not get the dual motor.
Right. Well, man.
And if you want to see what it was like, go watch our review on it's on YouTube. It's on our channel there. I'd take a Model 3 out, and
it's a good job too, by the way. I like
Thanks.
that video. It's very, very well done, and you've got a lot of hits on it and a lot of likes on it, and it's so speaks for itself. Good compliments on it. So, but yeah. So for me, man, I think why I've been so interested in it is because I've been doing a little research on whether or not I would like to get one. And
you're gonna get an e-tron. Come on, man.
No, no way, man. Or the Hyundai Ioniq. Is that
No,
what you're
you
talking
get
about?
the Audi e-tron, man. You'd be like Tony Stark in those Avengers movies.
Yeah. I don't know, man. My son's just been kind of pushing me towards the Tesla. He loves them as well. He drives a Chevy Volt. He drives a Volt.
Well, I mean, and we're not, like you said, we're not Tesla.
No.
I mean, like, my email address is not Tesla fanboy 001.
Right, we don't work for Tesla.
Yeah.
We just do our homework on the car.
Yeah,
so.
it's just impressive because they've pushed the envelope so much. But most of these other companies that are getting into EVs, to electric vehicles,
Yeah.
at least in some ways, they are copying what Tesla has done. They are mirroring that because it is proven to be successful.
Right. That's right.
So, I mean, there's a
So
reason.
So good for you, mate. Go out and get you one. That's not a car. This is a car. How many more of those can we do, right?
Yeah, right. I have a feeling we could just sit here all day and
now, if you and I could do like a Bee Gees thing, man, that would be good. Robin and
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one of them used to live right down the road here, and he bought Johnny Cash's old house and then it burned down. But
yeah. Well, yeah, that's kind of interesting too, but in itself. But anyway.
All right. So
What do you got?
Speaking of the cost of vehicles, now there was a report that came out of Edmunds yesterday. Edmunds is Edmunds.com. It's a big car research website for those of you that don't know. If you've heard of Kelley Blue Book, they're kind of like similar to Kelley Blue Book. And you can use them to value used cars, new cars. There's forums, there's guides, there's reviews on particular vehicles and that sort of stuff. So they are one of the industry leaders in car evaluation. And yesterday, this report came out. Now, the one that I'm looking at here is a little bit older. It's from June of last year. But there is one that came out today. I actually heard it on the news. I did not read it, but I am reading highlights from a previous set of comments that Edmunds has made, if that makes sense. But basically, used cars are at an all-time high in terms of their purchase price, and so are new cars. And so the cost of inflation, the market keeps going up and up and up and up and up and up. And I'm not sure, Jay, if you heard this is just recently, as of this morning on AP, the stock market's a little shaky today. There's a lot of concern over, the trade tariffs and that sort of stuff, and what that's going to do to your car economy and all that. And they are now seeing data that it's affecting the cost of these new vehicles, and so they keep going up. So when they talk about car prices are at an all-time high, what they're really doing is they're saying, based on the cost of living and the cost of inflation, the ratio of the expense to buy a new car versus what that ratio would have been on an average salary 10 years ago would be.
Right.
Does that make sense?
So if I'm understanding that correctly, then that's going to drive another part of that market up and help retain, right?
Yeah. And but the concern is that people may hold on to cars longer, or just stop buying cars. And so then could affect negatively the economy, because as the car market goes historically, so does the rest of the economy, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And of course, we heard, just recently that, about the tariffs that are going to be held off until after Christmas. I think, just before Christmas, December 15, I think is the next date on the tariffs.
And that may help. But, and another factor to this is more people are wanting larger vehicles, SUVs, and that sort of thing, and those are more expensive. So that is also a factor in why this data says car prices are more expensive, because people aren't buying Ford Fusions like they used to, right? I mean, Ford, I think, is getting rid of the Fusion in the next year or so.
Sure.
All these automotive manufacturers are scaling back on the number of sedans they produce, and they're going toward larger vehicle production. And the risk there is, and I've said this before on this program, if you put all your eggs in the SUV basket and the economy tanks, you are screwed.
Yes, you are.
That's a big risk.
Well, actually, the headline on that, it said, although shoppers continue to flock towards pricier trucks and SUVs, steadily rising gas prices begin to stimulate consumer demand and increase residual values for smaller vehicles. So, So the point of the story, you were getting there with the used vehicle prices. So what was the deal on that? How much they were saying they were up a few percent, retaining their value in the used car market? Yeah,
because they're more scarce.
Exactly.
So that means the trend is less people are buying new cars, and the people with used cars are holding on to them longer, and that combination means that there's more of a demand in the used car market.
Right. So if you get a phone call from, this Joe over here at 8 Ball Chevrolet, we have a shortage on inventory on used SUVs, and we'd like to make you a big offer. And that's probably going to be legit, because those guys, they make a ton of money in the used car market. So, it's interesting where this is going, man. With the gas prices soaring, and
I love getting those calls. By the way, on my 2014 Toyota FJ Ultimate Limited Edition.
I was wondering if you were going to go there. Let's talk about that.
2,500 made in the production run. It literally, I had to put an order in, I think in November, and I picked it up in May of the next year.
How much did you have to put down in order to reserve that?
I don't remember. It wasn't a lot.
Because the Corvette C8, I think you can put as little as $2,500 down.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like insane.
Okay.
And they knew. Look, they knew they were going to sell it if I backed out because
Right.
The way that Toyota did it was each dealer got one in the United States,
Yeah.
and I did my
Right.
homework. Like I Toyota announced we're going to make 2,500 of these. I went online and looked up how many Toyota dealerships there were in the United States, and
Mm-hmm.
and it worked out to be enough for about 2 per dealership if every
Right.
dealership ordered 2. Some people,
Right.
some didn't get any. Some of them were small. Some of them got more in big cities. So these guys call me up and they're like, "You still got it?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they go, "Talk you into coming and looking at a new 4Runner?" And I go, "Yeah, over my dead body." And the guy always just laughs, and and he's like, and I'm like, "You know what I got, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." And and I said, "Have you looked at the used car value of those lately?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I went, "How did you think this call was going to go?" And he goes, "About how it went."
So you know this guy then, huh?
Well, I just have called.
Kinda.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's have a
Yeah,
little fun.
I
with
got
him.
you.
I mean, I
Well,
know him
you
now.
Well, it's just in that alone is it's rare enough that it would drive the price, but I think it's extremely rare that you would have a used vehicle not be more devalued than that. That's pretty amazing.
Oh, it's
that
lost like 10% of its value, and it's over
Yeah.
5 years old. Well, it's just a wildly
amazing.
popular vehicle, and it's Toyota discontinued it in part because of fuel economy ratings were horrible, and the economy was different, and now people don't care, and they're buying SUVs, and they don't care about gas. It's just a different time. It's how
Would you
quickly
say
all
that-
of this changed, and everybody forgets.
Yeah. So would you basically say that Toyota took a swing at a curveball basically when they put that thing out, and that's they were a
Oh,
little
it was
behind
never really intended to go to production. They were kind of just playing around with a concept vehicle, and
Yeah.
there was this huge interest in it, and they went, well, let's see what happened. And the first year or two that they sold them, they just sold like wildfire, and they went, oh, looky
Right.
here,
Yeah.
So
Well, good for you for owning one, man.
Yeah, well, yeah, I would love to say that was all foresight, but it wasn't. I just have a taste for what I like. So
Right.
so you mentioned the CA. You mentioned so this is a risky situation for companies like Chevrolet who just rolled out this Corvette C8, and that is well, let's be honest, that's not a practical automobile per se.
No.
It doesn't have a back seat. It doesn't have it's not got great fuel economy. And if you put a car in production at a time like this, and you put a lot of eggs in that basket, and then something bad happens with the economy, oh boy, right?
Oh yeah.
Did you
I think-
see? Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think that Chevrolet, they've thrown so much marketing at it, and again, we said on our last podcast that how well they were receiving orders, and they were not sold out, but they were getting pretty darn close to capacity for the first year production.
Well, so that vehicle is made in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Yep.
Since 2011, General Motors has invested more than $900 million in that assembly plant.
Right.
Since 2011. Now, this is coming straight from GM's media newsroom. Like they have a section of where they have press releases.
Right.
They are adding a second shift and more than 400 hourly jobs at the Bowling Green, Kentucky assembly plant to support production of the next generation Corvette. This was they announced this earlier this year, but it is in full swing now.
Yeah, I think they made those decisions like just a few weeks before the release of the C8.
What a huge gamble.
Yeah, it was. I mean, everything about this whole thing, man. Their marketing team, again, sometimes things work. And, like I said, whoever's behind all the marketing of it, good on them because, I think it's going to go down as a success for these guys, in the long run. So, but yeah.
So, now, and this is just me being a nerd about this, but General Motors is adding a second shift and more than 400 hourly jobs. The addition of the second shift will increase the plant's workforce to more than 1,300 people.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they worked all day. Like, I thought there were 3 shifts in these assembly plants, and they worked round the clock, and,
It really depends on, Corvette, let's just face it, it's not...
You can't
it's
build
not
those in the
like-
dark? Well, I mean,
you could
after 7
You
p.m.
could build them in the dark, but I don't think the demand, pushed them to that point to where they needed to add a third shift.
All right, I got
I mean,
you.
when you're building, Ford F-150s, that's a different story.
Also
I mean,
built
those
in
guys-
Kentucky.
Yep, yeah. So, hey, doesn't Alabama has a Honda plant, a Hyundai plant,
Yeah.
a few GM plants?
Yeah,
That's
we
just
call it Little
amazing.
Japan. I mean, what?
Yeah, well, yeah, it is down there because there's a lot of
Nah, I
a
just
lot
made
of
that
the there's a lot of Asian vehicles that are being made here in the U.S. for obvious reasons. So, but anyway, yeah. So good for the workers at the Bowling Green plant. To good way to stimulate the economy, like the Nashville area.
Yeah. A lot of guys
news-
drive up there and
Yeah.
stay all week
Yeah.
and then come home on the week. They work
Yep.
there. All right, so
Sure do.
I'm gonna segue into this one other thing about this Corvette, and then I'm gonna shut up for a minute and let you go. But so the Corvette C8 designers were trying to make the next bedroom poster car. Poster on your wall when you're a kid. We all had
Right.
these, right?
You mean like Cheryl Teagues?
Well, yeah, but I'm thinking more
Or Bo-
car,
or Bo-
like
Bo-
like my
Bo
son.
Derek?
Yeah, right. Well, now you're dating yourself, but well, that's a 10. I'm talking about maybe it's an 8, right? Get it?
An 8,
So,
yeah.
my son has a McLaren hanging on the wall in his room, and so apparently the designers. Let me see. This is coming from Motor One.
Yep.
In an interview, C8 design director Tom Peters explained Chevy wanted to please existing Corvette buyers, but also lure in a younger crowd by creating something exciting and suitable to become the next bedroom poster car. Quote, where I got that philosophy from, and one of the reasons I'm in the business is that I can trace it all back to when I was about 10 years old and saw a Corvette Stingray for the first time. It had such a lasting impression, and I formulated a passion around that car. We wanted new customers and to break away from a tradition, so I think it was a powerful way to approach it. Yeah, well, that seemed to have worked. I mean, you got your poster car now. I mean, they're going to do it for sure. There's going to be bedrooms all over the world with that car on them.
And let me guess, your young guy has already gotten online looking for the new Lego C8. Is there going to be one?
I don't know. It's hard. It's so hard to predict with him what he's going to be driven to. Mm-hmm. And we watched the press event, the Corvette press event together, and he was into it for a little bit, and then they got kind of like wordy, and they got over my head a little bit, and so but he hasn't really brought it up a lot since then.
Yeah.
Now he's got model toy Corvettes and I don't know. We'll see. I try to just observe and not influence somewhat.
Yeah, I get you. I just know that he's into Legos, and
Yeah.
that'd be cool if he, if Lego came out with a new Corvette. That'd be pretty cool. I might even get into that, man.
Yeah.
So
It's a good father-son project. It's pretty fun.
absolutely, it is, man. Except for when there's little pieces all over the floor, man, and you're
Those
walking. No, they do, especially when you're barefoot.
Yep.
I've had a corner of one of those jab right into my arch of my foot. That doesn't feel too good. So,
No, it's a memorable experience for sure.
yeah. So
It usually
good-
followed
again,
with a
yes, that would be me.
yeah.
Or a cat screaming because I stepped on the
Yeah.
cat backing up. Yeah. So
Sometimes even some cursing and things getting thrown. But yeah, anyway. All right, what else you got, man?
Well, I ran across this morning, and then actually CBS Morning News also reported on it from the Wall Street Journal that released a piece on it. We are in a different time. Things are, the generations drive different demands, needs, wants, and they act differently. Things are done a little differently, and while we older generations like myself and Keith might seem to think that some of the stuff going on is a little unorthodox. It really isn't. I mean, it suits the time. And it was a piece on resumes and how people are writing resumes for jobs these days.
Right.
I found it very interesting.
You had me hooked. I was like, where's he going with this, man?
Yeah. So,
and I'm leaning in and I'm like, where
yeah.
does it? Okay. All right. Resumes.
Well, what caught me, man, when I was listening to the story this morning and then I read the article, what caught me is I have two sons that are young, but they're I think they're kind of on a cusp because their generation does not write a resume in the manner that most are now. So it's a matter of like what's accepted as a resume and what people want to see on a resume.
There you go. Now, I think some of that depends on, and I have a friend that is a recruiter, and we're constantly talking about these kinds of trends. Mm-hmm. The places that you go that you're looking to interview, that's going to have a lot to do with how your So if you're like, let's say you're interviewing or you're applying for a tech company or some sort of cutting edge, like maybe you want to go to work for a design firm at General Motors to work on Corvettes or something. A resume like this is going to be a lot more. You will have a lot more consideration than, let's say, if you go to an older, established, large corporation that doesn't. I'm trying to think of a good example. What's like the oldest crusty, like General Electric, something like that, right? Like
General
been around
Electric
forever.
Westinghouse.
Yeah. You send them a resume that looks like an Instagram feed, they're going to go, that hiring person is, first of all, probably over 50, and he's going to look at that or she's going to look at that and go,
right.
Let me do the
Which is too
gesture up
bad.
a little higher.
Right, which is too bad because, that's where we're at now. And that's kind of why I wanted to bring this up, is that to kind of open everybody's ears and eyes to the fact that this is the generation that we're in. This is your workforce, people. And they have known nothing but internet and handheld devices and texting and those sorts of things. So it's a tool for them, and it has allowed them to kind of embellish a little bit more than they may have in the past with, say, and they're using bitmojis and emoticons and all these things where 10 years ago, if you'd have put that on a resume, you're right, they would have probably pushed it off and never even given it a chance, thinking, well, these kids are just playing, they're not being serious. But this is where we're at now.
Well, and again, if I'm a hiring manager and I'm looking for somebody, let's say, to work on partscounterguru.com and set up a new shopping cart where people can go and buy hats, and I need somebody that kind of knows how that's done and how the connectivity on the back end works, this kind of a resume is going to be a lot more credible in that arena, because that fits the type of person that I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. If I'm looking for somebody that is going to help me invest in a retirement portfolio, and knows the ins and outs of the market and historically understands warning signs and things to look for, probably not, because I want somebody with a little bit more experience. So it just depends on what kind of gig you're going for, right?
It really does. I mean, that plays into it, and this article gets into that and states that if you're applying for a marketing job, obviously these types of resumes are perfect. Some sort of graphics design or even, I mean, honestly, man, or even a financial company, if you're putting out portfolios or you're putting out brochures and stuff, you want it to be colorful, bright, and draw people in and exciting to read about, and it's just part of the sales pitch. And let's face it, folks, when you're applying for a job, you're selling yourself. And so it is a sales pitch. It is. So you have to put your best foot forward. And, the bottom line is gone are the days of the old utilitarian black and white documents that are covered with bullet points, So,
man, I would love to do a hidden camera segment where I just sat behind a desk and did interviews and
you know what I did years ago? I worked for many years ago for Western Auto, corporate Western Auto.
Yeah.
Part of their service team for their service departments. And I was selected as one of their recruiters for the area, and I went around and interviewed college students to try to get them interested in management positions, upper management positions, corporate management positions and stuff. That was really interesting for me. At the time I had 2 very young kids, and I was talking to kids that were fresh out of high school that were just kind of looking for a place in life. What should I look at? And it's no different than the armed forces taking advantage by sending a recruiter into high schools before they graduate to talk to them and say, "Son, what do you want to do with your life?"
Now's when I need the Arlie Army sound drop, from Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
Get on your knees, scumbag. Yeah, right.
Right. Gump, why did you put that gun together so fast? Because you told me to, drill sergeant. Anyway.
All right. So speaking of Parts Counter Guru's hats on the website, how about we take a little break here and talk about that and your hat.
Mm-hmm. You want to talk about this hat?
Yeah, the Nashville Sounds, right?
Yes, this is the Nashville Sounds, man. They are a minor league team there in Nashville, Tennessee.
I was thinking San Antonio, but okay.
Yeah, they just built I'll say it's about 5 or 6 years old now,
nice.
Really. The new stadium.
It's a nice,
beautiful
really
stadium.
Nice.
But who are they a farm team for?
Oh man, I knew you were going to ask me that, and I'm not prepared.
And I don't
changed.
either. But
for a while, it was the Seattle Mariners.
That's right, it was, and I knew it changed. That's why I couldn't remember. And see,
I think it's the Brewers now. Let's see.
I think you may be right.
A minor league baseball team of the Pacific Coast League and the AAA affiliate of the Texas Rangers.
Oh, wow, the Rangers. And if you'll go back to a podcast way back, we talked about Texas Rangers, not the baseball team.
Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris.
No. It was actual Texas Rangers. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Chuck Norris was in the conversation too, though.
Yeah.
I like Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris is a bad dude, man.
Yeah.
I wonder if he could spin the bottle cap off with his foot with a little spin around. The new
I
challenge
think he wouldn't even
there.
take the whole foot. Probably just toenail. So we're gonna do. We've decided. Jay and I have talked about this. We're gonna start doing giveaways live on the podcast. Right, Jay?
Yes, we are.
Stop me if I get this wrong. Okay.
Okay.
You have to be a subscriber. And how can they? You do a better job of explaining this process than I do. You want to go ahead and explain how you can be a subscriber?
Yeah, I can do that. So here's how you do this, guys. Couple of ways. You can go to our website, which is partscounterguru.com or gurus.com. If you want to add the S, that's fine. We are 2, not 1, but we can be 1. We are a team. How you like that? Is that a motivational speech or what? Yeah,
I felt included, and I was ready to go to work, man.
But anyway, if you go to our page right there, you look at the top right-hand corner, you'll see a icon for YouTube. You can click on that; it'll carry you over to the page, or you can go to the left-hand side of the page. You'll find a menu, drop-down menu. It's podcast links. And you can find us there on YouTube and many other outlets or platforms, I should say, like Apple Podcasts, which, by the way, any of you who had subscribed to that before, we had some technical difficulty over the last couple of weeks that Keith figured out.
Well, let's be honest.
What?
We got too big for our host, and that's a good problem. That's actually thank you to the people that have subscribed, because we ran into a problem where we were getting too many requests for the show feed, and it basically puked. So
we
had to
handle
update that, and Yeah,
it's a good problem
so thanks.
to have.
Yeah,
but
yeah. So I digress. So Apple so we're updated on Apple Podcasts. We are now in the automotive category.
Yep.
And please continue.
Yeah, so you can subscribe to that, but where we really need your subscriptions, guys, is over on YouTube, because again, that's how we're going to keep this going, is getting those subscriptions from you there. And again, subscribe. It's free to subscribe. It doesn't cost you a dime, but it's priceless to us, like I said before. And
I like
what
that.
it does, though, is it allows you to enter and write a comment on it and
you
answer
can ask us a question.
Yep. Go from there on the particulars. You take it from here on how we're going to do that.
So we're going to do every time we do a podcast episode, we're going to do a drawing, and this is going to start in the next few podcasts, either the next one or the one after that. Basically, as soon as Jay and I can get our crap together in the middle of filming other videos and all that other stuff, and we are going to just pick on the show one of the subscribers, and it's not always going to be the same thing. Sometimes it'll be a whatever product that we did a review on, or a hat, or a set of chopsticks, or I don't know, man. But we're going to try to give away some cool stuff. And the whole purpose of this is twofold: to say thank you to the subscribers we do have, but also to encourage you to become a subscriber, because that's a big, big help to us in terms of keeping the production moving forward.
Correct. Yes.
How's
and
that?
That's perfect, man. Thank you for describing how that's going to be available to those folks and how they can do that and what that means to us. So it's good stuff, man. Thank you. Appreciate you.
So you got another? What else you got? We got time for a couple more, right?
Couple more, I think so. Yeah, maybe one or two more.
All right.
Well, I saw one that you did. Why don't you speak on this one? I just talked about that one. That was the RV rental, the new way they're going to be renting RVs, which is pretty awesome.
All right,
man.
let me get this. Let me get this open so I don't misspeak here.
And you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I got it right here.
I think this is awesome.
I talked to a lot of people about this, and why isn't this page opening? Come on, man. So
I bet you if we were to talk to our good friend Michael Rothmeyer, who was on our podcast, he's
going to start contributing on the show.
He's going to start doing. We hope that he's going to do that and writing some stuff and some features on camping and RVing and some other things. He's a mixologist.
Yeah.
He fishes. I mean, the guy knows his stuff. So look forward to maybe him contributing.
We're going to have an RV section on the website, RV/camping, I think. So
Yep.
So I get approached all the time, and I'll just replay kind of a quick conversation that I had over the weekend with a neighbor that just moved into the neighborhood. They said, "Hey, you got that RV we see coming down the road all the time, parked in front of your house, usually like when we're loading it up to go on a trip or something." And I went, "Yeah." And she goes, "Well, my husband and I, we want to take a trip, and we're thinking about renting an RV, and just what can you tell us, about that?" Which, me being me, started thinking, ooh, this is a video segment, right? Like this is somebody. If this advice gets asked one time, it'll be asked again somewhere else. So we should record this. But basically, it's getting better. When I got into it when I was like 5, when I was taking on my first camping trip. But 10 years ago, you didn't have the rental options that you do now, and so now you got with Airbnb, and that's kind of bleeding into RVs. So. This article, which comes from Curbed. Oh, Curbed. Yeah, I know Curbed.
Yeah.
We know Curbed. Yep. Okay. So renting an RV for a summer trip has long been a popular choice, but a new class of rentals is focusing on the camper at the moment, the Class B, like boy van. Now, this is something you and I have talked about. Winnebago just invested heavily into these Class Bs. What a Class B RV or van is basically, think like the Amazon delivery van. There's your perfect example. Okay, that's a Class B, and they're converting them into sleeper
Chevy
vans.
Express.
Chevrolet
Express van.
Winnebago just came out last year with a off-road version, a 4-wheel drive version, which is cool as can be, and it's very utilitarian.
See a lot of 4-wheel drive vans around here.
Yeah, and they're coming out, and they're getting really popular because they're small. You can fit them in a standard car parking spot. Sometimes you can even fit them in your garage if they're not tall enough, too tall. And but they can go, you can still sleep 2 or 3 people in them, and they've got a little mini fridge and a little restroom and a little shower and heat and all that. So, and if you've seen the documentary, what's it? Alex Honnold, the Free Solo is the name of the documentary, where the guy climbs El Capitan.
Right.
And
I didn't. I watched pieces of it. Not the
Well, he lives in a Class B. That's what he's living in. Okay.
Well, remember I told you I met that couple recently. That's what.
Yeah. Well, I got one down the street. It's a young couple doing the same thing.
Yeah. Same thing.
So there's an RV club that will be launching in January of 2020. So just about 6 months from now, in 9 different cities.
Nashville's one of them, by the way.
Yes.
So is Seattle. Seattle as well.
Blacksford. Let's see. Blacksford is a Montana-based operation focusing on renting Winnebago campers, and a lot of them are the Class Bs. Good Sam Club, which is kind of that is owned by Camping World. It's a discount if you have an RV, you get discounts at Camping World and campgrounds and that for Good Sam members. Good Sam Club and Passport America provide discounts on campgrounds, and they're going to do something that's similar to Good Sam. Memberships will be offered, like we already said. With each paid membership, clients will have access to a dedicated fleet of Winnebago Revels, that's their off-road four-wheel drive van, and Views. Now, the View is a little bigger, and those are, I believe, Class Cs. Don't quote me on that, but I think they are. Each location's club is limited to a certain number of memberships, so it's going to be kind of like a timeshare, it looks like. It includes the use of campers for 21 or 30 total days each year, which is not a lot.
Nope.
The home city is where you pick up and drop off.
But you can only have it, you can only rent it for, what was the amount? 70, what was it at? They're
the
only
home
allowing
city
you
is
to
where you
rent
pick it up, and only one reservation on the books at a time, with some flexibility for bookings within 72 hours.
Right. I was thinking they were saying you couldn't rent it for... Okay.
Membership in Austin, Texas costs $6,800, while that same membership is $8,800 in Denver. The rates are comparable, if not lower, than nightly rentals, where a fully outfitted Revel costs $359 a day. So I will tell you this as a motorhome owner, and I've owned towables and pretty much everything. RVs ain't cheap, and insurance on the RVs ain't cheap. And
maintenance
ain't cheap, and that's a lot of money for 3 weeks. But if it's literally that, and then you turn it in, and you put gas in it, and you turn it in, and you're done, it's not bad, because there's a lot. Every time I take mine out, there's some expense I got to deal with.
Here's the part of it that I was trying to
okay.
You were talking about.
Well, you gave me like 3 tries, and I still couldn't find it. So go ahead.
Well, neither could I. I mean, it was hidden in here. So it says each camper comes fully stocked with bedding, bath, and kitchen supplies. Yeah. The trips must be at least 3 days long and no longer than 7 days long. The membership also includes unlimited mileage, unlimited generator use, and a 10% discount for friends and families looking to rent other Blacksford RVs.
It's not bad.
It's a good deal, and you were talking about 21 days for the year. That's 3 weeks if you use the max number of days. But you break it down. Let's say you're going to do a 3-night thing. Okay,
right.
That's seven times you can go take the thing out. I mean, let's face it. A lot of people buy one, they sink $100,000 into the thing, and they go take it out for one night or for 1 week, and they go park it at some covered storage, and it never comes out. Then it gets all musty, and you got to do it. Just If you're not going to use,
that's why we're out in ours all the time, because I like that. But
you own one. You own it because you use it.
Oh yeah,
you wouldn't.
So the one drawback that I can think is, you said Nashville's going to be one of the host cities. Austin's going to be another one. It looked like Denver. Denver's easy, man. You can be in Utah in 4 hours from Denver, or you can be in the Rockies in an hour and a half from Denver.
Yeah.
But
it's almost $9,000 in Denver for the membership, though.
But here in Nashville, if I want to go to, like, let's say New Mexico or someplace with the mountains, I mean, the Smokies, okay, but if you live in Tennessee, you've done that a million times, right? That's a good day's drive to get somewhere worth going, and
Yep.
you got to think about that. If you get it for 7 days, you really have it for 5 if you've got a drive day on each side of that, one to get there and one to come home.
Right. But if let's just say you're wanting to do this, okay, and what would make sense to me is, let's say you wanted to head out and camp in Colorado somewhere. You could find cheap flights in advance if you've planned far enough in advance and
sure.
fly to Denver. And then, see, that's the beauty of this membership, is that you can go pick it up at any one of these locations, and that be your, where you leave out of. So
True. That's a good point.
So there's going to be a lot of, there would be a lot of, planning and not more or less beating the system, but getting your money's worth. There's ways to get your money's worth. So, again, like, as Keith said, it may seem like a high cost of membership, but you look what you're getting out of it, and if you use it, then you get your money's worth for sure. I mean, you stay in a hotel for 21 days.
Right. Yeah. Ugh. No thanks.
A good hotel. I'm talking a good hotel.
Yeah, still no thanks. I'll take my RV out somewhere where I can be out.
Right. So
with
you're
a
going to
beautiful view.
you're going to be darn close, within maybe 30 to 35% of what the cost of this membership is for a year, and I think you get a lot more fun of it. Let me say this, okay, I don't own a camper. I've been talking about it.
Yeah,
exactly. I've been talking about it, and Keith and I've talked about it. He says, for you and your wife, you might consider a Class C. Now, Class C is a little bit larger.
ID buzz. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So a Class C has slide outs and extra length and a lot more amenities in them, and it's a lot more comfortable for two people. But for me, if I'm a person who's just starting out and want to experiment, do I want to do this? Do I want to commit to buying an RV and doing it? Let's go experience that life first before I sink $100,000.
Yep.
So it's a win-win for the renters as well as the people who are renting them. Here's why. Because you are selling a lifestyle that there's a lot of apprehension on behalf of most people to even get into it, because they know it comes with a lot of work. Secondly, a Class B is ideal. Most people can drive a Class B. If you can drive a van, you can drive one of these things.
You're driving a SUV or mini or a van.
So it takes a lot of the intimidation out of it. And when I read this, I'm like, wow, man, this is really cool. I wish him luck. It's a good plan.
I wish I would have gotten in on the front end of this. Yeah, but
tell me about it, man.
So, and you bring up so the hotel concept, right? So there's another aspect of this in the RV life that is absolutely a learning experience, and you don't realize this until you go out and do it, and that is where you stay. So there are places that you can stay that have what they call full hookups, which means you have water, electricity, and sewer. You've got everything plugged into the RV, and you can run without, my son who takes 30-minute showers, you can just leave the water running, right? Because you've got a sewer hookup. You don't have to worry about filling up your holding tanks, or you don't have to worry about filling your freshwater holding tank up and then running out of water because you got a water hose coming in from the city feed, right? So, but a lot of those places are parking lots, and you're just handing, you can hand a beer to your neighbor in his spot, versus a national park where you maybe have no hookups, or maybe water, or maybe electricity, but usually not all three.
Right.
But the views are amazing, and there's usually lots of space and privacy between you and your neighbor camper. And then there's everything in between. And there's all kinds of research tools out there that show you, how to find the one that you're looking for. If the kids want a swimming pool, you could, look for one, or, whatever, right? So, and maybe I go spend some time on our website doing some stuff on how to find those. But You're not going to know that until you go out and you try it the first time, and then you're going to go, oh, wait a minute, that was that KOA, man. Wow, that was creepy. I'm never going back there, right? Or
Right.
you know, or loved it. You know, they had tons of kids activities at Jellystone Park, and we're going back. So you gotta try that out to know what to look for before you're in a situation where it really matters.
Yeah, I mean, you test drive a car before you buy it.
There you
right?
go. Yeah,
You know?
same logic.
I mean, same logic, man. I mean, you know, you can't go to an RV dealer and say, "Hey, can I take this camping to see if I want to do this?"
Well, thank you for summarizing in about 5 seconds what I struggled to do in a minute and a half. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's why you're here, right?
Do you have a bubble bursting sound there? You have that on there?
No,
Can you, like a so you gotta
no, sorry, just
right,
yeah.
right, yeah. Sorry about that.
That's all right. That's good. Thanks for keeping me in line. Any more? Got any more? Any more?
I don't. That was actually one of my favorite ones of the day, man.
Really?
I
Well,
mean,
we ended
yeah.
on a good one then.
Yeah, I think so. You know, back to that. I mean, it's going to encourage me to look at a membership. I think when they do come out, and because I've talked to you about this coming out your way, and that could be a great situation to drive out that way and stay and park in your front yard.
Well, there's a couple other companies that don't require memberships, and I would say look at all of them before you make a decision.
Like Cruise America or
Cruise
something
America
like
is
that,
one of them. RV Share is another one. I mean, we could do a whole podcast on this, but and each one has a little bit different style in terms of how you rent and how you can rent and what you can rent. And you know, each has their pros and cons, and it's just a matter of matching it up to kind of what your needs are, or what you want to do on your vacation or your trip or whatever, and go from there.
Right. So do you have any... would you see any negative to renting a Class B over a Class, you know, if you, say, purchasing, do you think that they're not as roomy?
I would...
You know, you don't have as...
I would jump at the chance. First of all, just as far as the rent thing goes, and I know we're on the same page with this, I would jump at the chance to rent something before I bought it. You know, as pricey as these things are even used. Now, look, when I go out, like, and this is no surprise to you or probably anybody else that's listening to the show, like, I've done my homework before I even walk in that thing. Like, I've looked at floor plans, I've looked at other stuff they've made. I've gone to a campground and I've looked at one that somebody else owns. I know what options are available on it. I know which options I want. You know, I've been in one probably like it, so it's a little less of a factor for somebody like me. But man, that's me. I realize I'm a little bit odd or different. So, in terms of renting a Class B, I mean, there's negatives to all these. You know, when you get into a bigger one, they're harder to drive. They're not impossible. It just there's just different factors of consideration.
Yeah.
How many kids do you have? Do you have any kids? How many pets do you have? Are you taking those with you? Do you know? So a Class B is a good fit for a certain group of people. A Class A is a good fit for a certain group of people. Not the guy that parks next to me at my lot that just backed into mine yesterday with his brand new Class A. But yeah, that was a fun phone call. You know, hey, this is Gene. I just got the brand new Class A that parks next to you. And at that moment, I just went, yes.
Womp, womp,
yeah,
womp,
well,
womp.
I got about an inch too close. Anyway, so, yeah, you just need to know kind of going into this, how, you know, what is your criteria? Just put those down on paper. Is it how many people do you need to sleep? You know, how many groceries do you need to take with you? Where you're going, is it going to be over 75 or 80 degrees where you need to try and run an air conditioner? You know, how often do you need to take showers? All that stuff. And if you kind of have those things that you can jot down on paper, then you can look at, you know, whether a Class B is a good idea. I mean, I honestly think 2 people and a couple kids would be fine in a Class B.
Yeah, it's comfortable. I've camped in a Class B.
Yeah.
Wasn't mine. I mean, I was just with a couple of friends, and we went to a concert.
Yeah,
and,
and where are you going?
It worked out.
Is it going to
and,
rain
so
a lot? Or are you just sitting outside roasting marshmallows and making s'mores? Or are you going to go look at some like Hall of Fame museum or whatever? Like,
right?
Because if you're just spending 24/7 at the campground and it might rain, well, now you got to think about that, right?
That's exactly right. I think the marketing strategy here is great because it gives you the opportunity to get into a size that may be perfect for you, but what they're hoping for is that you learn to love it real quickly, but then you realize, well, we probably should get a bigger one.
Yeah.
Ka-ching, cash register sounds, so it's a great marketing strategy. I love it. I think it's a great opportunity for anybody, and I'm going to really look into this thing. So either that or, I don't know, borrow yours.
Yeah.
Of course, then I'd have to.
You got to get here.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, man. You look like. Hey, do you have like a Jerry Reed type outfit that you wear when you drive yours, man?
I do wear the cowboy hat. Yep.
Do you really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's an outlaw, right? That's the name of the rig.
Yeah,
so you got to have the hat.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just first of all, it's comedic value when I look out the window at stoplights and stuff.
Oh, sure it is. Yeah.
And
do you give people like big smiles when you and just laugh and stuff like that when you're passing people by or they're passing you?
It's fun. Yeah, you make people laugh. It's fun. You get out and you pump gas and it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus, I've known to transport adult beverages across state lines in my rig, so
Ooh. Yeah, you may have to make another road trip out here, man. Yeah.
Little eastbound and down action.
Right on.
All right, will you tell everyone where to find us, how to find us, all that good stuff?
I can certainly give it my dollar bill best.
All right.
So, hey, we are Parts Counter Gurus, and you can go to our website at www.partscounterguru.com. Keith loves it when I do that.
Yeah, it's nice. It's way better than I can do.
No, I don't think so. And on that website, you're going to find a lot of things. You're going to find things that we mentioned on the podcast. In the upper left-hand corner, you're going to find a drop-down menu. You can find mentioned on the podcast.
Filet mignon, surf and turf.
Like that.
Oh no, not that kind of menu.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got you.
But you're also going to find our links to our podcast, which we are on Apple Podcast. We're on Stitcher. We're on. Gosh, man, now I'm drawing a blank. See, you did it to me, man.
Let's see. TuneIn.
TuneIn. Google.
Android. So
Android.
There's an older version of the Google stuff and a newer version of the Google stuff. We're on both of them.
Ooh, Spotify. We're on Spotify as well.
Yep.
So you can reach us on those, but we really like it when you guys check us out over on our YouTube channel, because not only do we have our podcast there, but we also have some DIY videos and some product reviews and stuff that we'd like to share with our audience and anybody passing by. But really, it's that location where you can click the subscribe button and become a Parts Counter Guru subscriber. And with that, it's going to give you opportunities, as we just mentioned earlier, to win some things that we're going to get to later. Maybe in the next several podcasts, we'll let you know when we drop the proverbial New Year's Eve ball, and we begin the new run to start giving stuff away. It could be swag, it could be a pack of gum, it could be a pair of flip flops with a can opener on the bottom of it. It could be a dog collar for your dog, or a cat collar for your cat that has the Parts Counter Guru emblems on it.
We'll try to make it cool. At least we think it's cool.
Yeah. 35 pack of Kirkland brand purified water.
That's heavy to ship, man.
I was going to say the shipping, it would be a little bit more expensive than the actual cost of that, but no, we're joking. But there'll be some cool stuff, some fun stuff that we'll give away, and the main thing that we want out of it is we want you guys to subscribe and listen to what we do out here, and that helps us keep going, and it helps to keep this alive. And our goal is to make you guys aware of trending things and how to work on things and to basically fall in love with the industry like we have. So there you go.
Oh,
you can check and follow us on Facebook. That would be / or facebook.com / Parts Counter Gurus. And then you can follow us on Instagram. That's Instagram.com, and it's / the Parts Counter Gurus. And I think at some point we're probably going to be on Twitter. We haven't done that yet, but as soon as we do that, we'll let you guys know. So there you go.
All right. Thanks, man. That was excellent.
Thank you.
All right. So that's pretty much tells me exactly where to go, what to look for, how to do it, where to find it. I'm pretty sure you got it all covered in there.
It was worth $1, wasn't it?
I'm gonna go like $1.25, $1.30, easy.
Buck and a quarter. Buck and a quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Right on.
So thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for listening. Until the next podcast, that is Jay over there.
And that's Keith, guys, right over there. See?
It's me.
Right there.
Remember, let's see. What's my clever, witty? I know. I got it. Here, you ready?
I'm ready.
Patience is the result of too many witnesses.
Ooh, I like that.
All right. Until next time, everybody. Thanks guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Take care.
Get on your knees, scumbag!